we here in this country pride ourselves in the federalist system where we have these semi-autonomous states that can develop their own culture and traditions, laws, customs. And we feel that that's sort of a safety valve, that when the federal government gets oppressive or tries to be too uniform, a state can reestablish its secular traditional identity.
When you go to a red state, it is a different world now than a blue state. And even the interior of California in the San Joaquin Valley, I commute to Stanford 3 hours from my farm. It's a different world. I'm on my farm today. People seem normal. When I go to the Stanford campus in the Bay Area, it's lunatic.
But we don't realize that there's been times in American history where the sheer semi-autonomous nature of states and the freedom to travel and to move have given a self-selecting or force-multiplying effect to national differences. We saw that in the 1850s. It wasn't so much moving as there was a group of southern states, 11 of them, on the issue of slavery led to the Civil War. What we're seeing now is about 4 to 6 million people moving, and almost 90% of them are moving in one direction from a blue state, Illinois, New York, California, Minnesota, Michigan, to a red state. And it's massive.
There's another dimension. The blue state model is not working. Their fertility rate's about 1.4. Red states are about 2.0. The cities are broke. The pension systems can't be saved. They're regulating themselves out of affordable housing. People are fleeing. 4 million people a year flee blue states to red states. And that only intensifies the divide, because most people say, I'm not going to stay here in California and fight to save it. I'm not going to stay in Minnesota to save it. These places are lost.
And the red states have an entirely different code of laws as they pertain to abortion, guns. They have cultural differences on religion, on the traditions of the United States, military service, et cetera, et cetera. And there's an adjudicator, there's a third party reality, and that is the red states are not insolvent. They're working. They do not have a problem with big city prosecutors. Their campuses, for the most part, are quiet. The city councils in red cities, the mayors and the governors of red states will not tolerate what we're seeing at Stanford University, where I work, or Princeton, or Yale, or Columbia, or Chicago, all of these big blue cities where our blue chip universities are. So this is an accelerant of a kind of a strange and maybe even dangerous trend that the country is bifurcating. You could make the argument that Tennessee feels closer to Florida, to Arizona, to Texas than they do, much closer than Illinois or California. But what I'm getting at is maybe more close and with more affinity with each other than they do the United States, and vice versa with the blue state.
The result is that they get even more and more crazy because there's no opposition. And the conservative people are live and let live. I mean, politics is not the most important thing. It's their community, their church, their family, their job. But the left, they get up every morning thinking we have to do radical political change, and they go to bed thinking they didn't do enough. It's obsessive and fixated for them. And so, but they're losing, and I think that's a really important point. They're losing the cultural battle, they're losing the political battle, and they're becoming more and more violent and embittered and looking for alternate means to acquire power.
Is America quietly breaking apart? Not with guns or secession papers, but with U-Haul trucks, moving boxes, and one-way tickets. Millions are leaving blue states for red states, not just for taxes, but for values, safety, and freedom. Is it the slow collapse of law and order and the rise of a culture that punishes excellence while rewarding chaos? Red states aren't just holding on, they're thriving. Meanwhile, the blue states are sinking under their own weight, even as they double down on policies driving people away. Ask yourself, when Tennessee, Texas, and Florida start feeling like their own country, how long before that feeling becomes a reality? Is this just a phase, or are we witnessing the emergence of two Americas on the same map, living under the illusion of unity while drifting further apart every day? And if this is true, what will it mean for our elections, for our economy, for national defense, for what it even means to be American?
Well, here in California, we lose 300,000 people, and most of the studies show they're conservatives. But that being said, I mean, we overwhelmingly reified Prop 209 that we won't use racial criteria in hiring and admissions. We repealed the $950 free looting law, and we elected an old-fashioned liberal Democrat as a mayor, in San Francisco, and San Francisco rejected, as you know, a left-wing, basically a communist, Boudin at first, and then Gascon and Boudin. They got rid of both of them. And LA did the same thing with Gascon. So there are people who, I don't know whether they're scared or they're aware of the danger, but they feel that if these people continue, the Democratic Party will be in danger. And they're in danger. I think a lot of people on the left who are very affluent, that's the party of affluence, they felt their zip code, the letters after their name, their degrees, their career, their titles would insulate them from this stuff. We're going to support teachers' unions. Our kids are going to go to private school. We live at 70-degree coastal weather. You have 40 cents kilowatt, that kind of stuff. And we have private patrols around, Beverly Hills or Malibu, but defund the police. But I think the revolution is coming for them. And they're scared that all of their money and influence status that will not protect them from these people. And that's a good sign, I think. I think another big revolution that we're not talking about is Harvard, Yale, Princeton, all of these prestige places are radically they're losing their prestige blue chip names because for 4 years now they have had no SAT, no comparative ranking of GPAs. They've been letting in people who could not do the work for other grounds than meritocracy. And the employers after 4 years said, if I hire a Yale or Stanford graduate, 80% get A's. They can't compute. They're not analytical. They can't speak well or write well. And they'll go to HR and complain. And it's just endemic in Silicon Valley. People say this. They've gone to the Stanford administration and said, you better do something very quickly because we're not going to give money to you anymore. Most of our kids that are straight A students and perfect SAT do not get into your university because there's 9% white males the last 4 years. And we're not going to put up with it anymore. We're not going to hire your people because they're incompetent. And I just talked to a person in Silicon Valley. He said, give me the choice. I'll hire a Georgia Tech, SMU, Texas A&M electrical engineer, BA any day over Stanford. Stanford was the best place in the world for that. But if you do this Marxist idea that equity, and you have no merit, after 3 or 4 years, you tarnish the name that they said. Stanford, Harvard, Yale told us for 50 years, we have the toughest curriculum in the world, we have the toughest admissions, and therefore we have the best name because nobody can turn out people as bright, naturally as bright, and who got this rigorous education, and they will excel in law, medicine. And then now all of a sudden they're saying, forget all of that. That was all a lie. We don't believe that anymore. So if they don't believe it, and the results are that it's not true, then the employers say, well, okay, we agree with you. You have other criteria, but we just don't want them because they're incompetent. And that's happening.
This isn't fear-mongering. It's a reality check. The last time America split this deeply over culture and values, it ended in cannon fire. Today, the divide comes in the form of a quiet exodus, a reshuffling of millions seeking safety and freedom elsewhere. But division, whether loud or quiet, carries consequences. The question isn't whether America is splitting. It's whether we'll notice before it's too late to bridge the gap. So, I'll leave you with this. Is America's greatest threat today a foreign enemy, or the quiet reality that we no longer share the same country with each other?